go to the second witness statement, which is at E27/2. That's the front page, and then the signing page, E27/9. Again, is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And are the contents of that statement true?
Yes, they are.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matthews. May we begin with some questions I've been asking all the witnesses. First of all, have you watched any periods of Craig Wright giving evidence over a remote link in this trial?
None whatsoever.
Have you read any transcripts or received any reports of his evidence, whether that's a written report or something said to you?
No, I haven't.
Have you read any social media or mainstream media accounts or commentary on this trial or hearing?
No, I haven't.
Thank you. Are you currently the executive chairman and CEO of the Enchain Group?
Yes, I am.
You're also, as you tell us in your statement, a shareholder in the group.
I personally am not a shareholder. My family trust shares.
You tell us that the shareholding that is held is less than 10%.
That is correct.
Are you able to estimate its current value?
Value?
Yes.
No.
You have no idea what the value is?
It's a private company, so we don't have a share price.
Would you accept that Enchain Group was originally established to acquire intellectual property rights of De Morgan, Dr. Wright's company, and to carry forward work of Dr. Wright?
Correct.
May we look, please, on the document on screen, L14/34. You recognise this as an information memorandum of the Enchain Group dating from December 2016.
Yes, I do.
Page 2, please. Top of the page, the document states that the Enchain Group was formed as a result of the purchase and transfer to Enchain Holdings of IPR, intellectual property rights, created by an Australian company named De Morgan and its subsidiaries, and the acquisition of a Canadian financial services group.
Sorry, where are you reading?
Right at the top of the page.
Oh, yes, okay.
The acquisition of a Canadian financial services group. Do you see that? Are those statements at the top of the page correct?
Did you say Canadian?
Well, it says here, the Enchain Group was formed as a result of, bullet point 1,
Yeah.
purchase and transfer to Enchain Holdings of intellectual property rights created by an Australian company named De Morgan Limited
Yes.
and its subsidiaries. And bullet point 2, the acquisition of a Canadian financial services group, Entrust.
Yes, that's true.
And then if we go down the page, we see under B, Origins of Enchain IPR, and the intellectual property rights are described in the first paragraph as tracing back to Dr. Craig Wright, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And his claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto is prominently stated there, isn't it?
It is.
Take that off screen for the moment. Calvin Ayre, is it right that you've worked with Calvin Ayre for many years, going back at least to 2011?
That's technically incorrect. I worked for a company that operated under the brand Bodog. Calvin Ayre was not operationally involved in that business. He had licensed the Bodog brand to that company.
For how long have you known Mr. Ayre as a business colleague or associate?
I would say I first met Mr. Ayre in Manila in 2011.
L19/210, another document on screen, please. This is an article on the Switzerland Global Enterprise website. Page 4, please. Article of the 11th of August 2023 refers to Ayre Group based in London investing up to 500 million Swiss francs in the N-Chain blockchain company from the greater Zurich area. Is it right that Mr. Eyre's group of companies invested up to 500 million Swiss francs in the N-Chain parent company around that time?
It depends on how you define invested. Mr. Eyre's companies acquired shares that were held by another shareholder. Mr. Eyre did not invest cash liquidity into the company.
Is Mr. Eyre a person with significant control of the UK subsidiary of the N-Chain Group, the UK operating company?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Sure. Is Mr. Eyre a person with significant control of the UK operating company within the N-Chain Group?
No. Mr. Eyre is a significant shareholder in a holding company.
So if he's identified on Companies House, the Companies House website as a person with significant control of the UK company, that's an error, is it?
No. It's under advice when required to list a UBO, we were advised that we should list Mr. Eyre because of his shareholding in a holding company.
We move to page 5 of this article. Towards the bottom of the page, Eyre Group founder Calvin Eyre stated, for the best part of a decade, N-Chain and its London-based chief scientist, Dr. Craig Wright, have been quietly amassing a patent portfolio of unparalleled scope, and so on. Do you see that?
I see it.
So Mr. Eyre, on that occasion, based on that quotation, was holding out N-Chain as essentially based on Dr. Wright's work in his patent portfolio. Is that right?
I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, he was giving that as the principal selling point of the company, wasn't he?
It's one facet of N-Chain. It's not the only facet of N-Chain.
Take that off screen. Would you accept this, that since 2015 you have spent yourself a fair amount of time promoting Craig Wright's claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto?
At various times, yes.
And in particular in early to mid 2016, you did quite a lot of work as part of preparing for his big reveal as Satoshi, didn't you?
That period in 2016 was not directed or managed by me.
We'll come to who made decisions in that period, but it's fair to say that you spent a fair amount of your time in the preparations for the big reveal, didn't you?
I spent most of my time dealing with the conflict between Dr. Wright and Robert McGregor.
We'll come to that. And more recently, you've spent time engaging with lawyers engaged by Entrust, including Zafar Ali Casey and Ted Loveday, haven't you?
I had only one time I ever met Ted Loveday, and I wouldn't call that an engagement. I was introduced to Zafar by Christinaga Hansen, and I again would hesitate in calling that an engagement.
How many meetings did you have with Zafar Ali?
I would say maybe 4 or 5.
Was Zafar Ali retained by and paid by the company N-Chain?
No.
By whom was he engaged and paid?
I believe he was engaged by Christinaga Hansen and he was introduced as a very, very close friend who could give advice.
Over the years, you've also given interviews and quotations supporting Dr. Wright's claims, haven't you, Mr. Matthews?
Can you explain that further?
Well, you've given interviews such as to CoinGeek, and you've given quotations to people writing articles in the media about Dr. Wright's claim in support of it, haven't you?
Well, I believe Craig Wright is Satoshi, so yes.
You've been involved with at least one other company seeking to profit from the work of Dr. Wright, the company Squire Mining, haven't you?
Craig Wright had nothing to do with Squire Mining. Oh, sorry. He did take a shareholding position in a capital raise that occurred at one stage. Yes, you are right.
Come back to that in a moment. M1/1/707, please. M1/1/707. The document will come up on the screen. This is a letter from Clyde & Co solicitors on behalf of Zafar Ali KC and Ted Loveday in response to a complaint that had been made about the mock trial exercise.
Sorry, in relation to what?
So this is a letter of the 10th of November 2023 from solicitors who were acting for Zafar Ali and Ted Loveday. What they're doing here is answering a letter from McFarlane's, who represent developers in this case, complaining about the professional propriety of doing the mock trial exercise. Do you understand?
Who's complaining to who?
McFarlane's, on behalf of the developers, complained to Mr. Ali and Mr. Loveday
I understand now.
about their professional conduct. And then they instructed solicitors, Clyde & Co, who wrote this letter on their behalf. Is the context now clear?
Yes.
And paragraph 2, they say, Clyde & Co say on behalf of Mr. Ali and Mr. Loveday, our clients were instructed by Enchain UK Limited. Pausing there, is it right that they were instructed by Enchain UK Limited?
No.
It then says that then describes Enchain UK Limited as the funder and supporter of litigation involving Dr. Wright. Is that right or wrong?
That is incorrect.
So is it right or wrong that Enchain has provided funding for Dr. Wright's litigation, directly or indirectly?
That is incorrect.
You're saying that Enchain has never provided funding, even indirectly through loans or transfer of shares or anything like that, to support Dr. Wright in his litigation?
Correct.
Based-
Unless you call indirect the receipt of either employee salary or consulting fees, but in the way you put it, the answer is no.
How do you say, to your knowledge, Dr. Wright's litigation has been funded, including his costs in these proceedings?
I've never been involved in details of how Dr. Wright has funded these proceedings. Anything I may have read would only be hearsay.
You can take that off screen. Dr. Wright's claim to be Satoshi featured in the information memorandum for Enchain because it was thought valuable to the commercial appeal of the company in the market, right?
Sorry, in what document?
Well, we looked at the Enchain memorandum, which prominently referred to Dr. Wright's claim to be Satoshi.
Yeah.
That document featured Dr. Wright's claim to be Satoshi because it was thought to improve the appeal of the company in the market, right?
No, would disagree with that. We
We
weren't going to market.
Why do you say that Dr. Wright's claim to be Satoshi was prominently featured in the company's IM?
Just for reference, because it's true.
And it's because Enchain stands to benefit from Craig Wright being Satoshi, that it went to the trouble and cost of retaining lawyers to work on this case. That's right, isn't it?
Enchain haven't retained lawyers to work on this case.
Would you accept this at least, that Enchain, a company whose whole business is crypto technology, would benefit or stand to benefit if Dr. Wright was found to be the founder of cryptocurrencies?
Enchain is not a crypto company. Enchain is a blockchain software research company. It doesn't trade in cryptos, it doesn't create cryptos, it doesn't have any connection with cryptos.
Would you accept that Enchain, giving it the description you've given it, would stand to benefit if Dr. Wright were found to be Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin technology and the blockchain?
Enchain's value is in its intellectual property and its products. Just because Dr. Wright's name appears on a number of patent filings doesn't make those patent filings any more or less valuable. The patents are valued on their ability to be able to generate meaningful solutions.
So you don't think that Enchain, despite prominently touting Dr. Wright's claim in its IM, would stand to benefit if that claim were found to be right?
I don't think the value of Enchain's patents changed at all. It's the technology which is the value. The fact that it was created or partially created by Dr. Wright and others within the research team, I don't think adds any or detracts any value one way or the other.
You don't think it would have any effect on Enchain's value or its profitability as a business?
Well, we've never relied on that, despite what you've been asserting.
It's a simple question that I think you still haven't answered. You're saying, are you, that you don't think Enchain's value or profitability would be improved by Dr. Wright being found to be Satoshi?
Not by any material value, no.
Now, you acknowledge in your witness statement that your family trust has holdings of BSV, which were worth $400,000 to $450,000 US at the price that obtained at the time of your first witness statement. Is that right?
That's correct.
Does Mr. Eyre also have substantial holdings in BSV, either directly or indirectly?
I have no idea. I'm not involved in Mr. Eyre's business.
L20-252.3, please. Look at the top of the page. There's a tweet from Mr. Eyre on the 28th of December 2023. So I tell my guy to tell one of our banks in Europe yesterday to start buying slow as I'm all in on Craig winning and the market roars today. They were just waiting for me to put my money where my mouth is. How do you understand this tweet?
I didn't post the tweet.
Just asking what you understand it to mean, reading it now.
He's instructing his banks to buy BSV slowly. What else am I to understand? I haven't discussed that with Mr. Eyre, nor would I normally discuss those type of things with Mr. Eyre. He has a family office that looks after his private business.
So Mr. Eyre, based on his own tweet, was telling his banks to start buying BSV slowly, and he links that in this tweet, doesn't he, to Craig's prospect of success in this litigation?
You could interpret that, yes.
You're saying you just weren't aware of Mr. Eyre having that financial interest in this litigation, you just had no idea?
I'm not sure what you're saying about his financial interest in the litigation, but this is the first time I think I've read this particular post.
Are you telling the court you had no knowledge of Mr. Eyre trading in BSV, as this tweet suggests, based upon the outcome of this litigation?
And no, I don't have any knowledge, and nor would I normally have any knowledge because I'm not involved in Mr. Eyre's personal business. And whether he instructed, as he suggests in this tweet or otherwise, I would have no way of knowing.
And take that off screen. Would you accept that the tweet on its face suggests a link between the outcome of this litigation and the price of BSV?
I don't know what Mr. Eyre was trying to imply. I didn't discuss that tweet with him before or after, so you'd have to ask him, not me.
Would you accept that BSV's price has been highly volatile, reaching at sometimes a price of over 400 US, as against its price at the start of this trial of 70 US?
I think all digital assets have been highly volatile over that period of time. BSV no different to any other.
This is a digital asset in which your family trust has holdings of $400,000 to $450,000 worth. You would have a particular interest in the price of this asset, wouldn't you?
I am not a trader. I don't buy and sell cryptos. I acquired my BSV a long time ago, and I don't follow the price on a daily basis. My interest is in the technology of N-chain, not the price of BSV.
Would you accept that, as Mr. Eyre appears to think, that the price of BSV may be influenced by a conclusion that Dr. Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto or isn't in proceedings around the world?
You'd have to ask Mr. Eyre, not me.
You yourself don't draw any link, do you, between the price of BSV and the success or failure of Dr. Wright's claims to be Satoshi?
BSV was not and is not a crypto where it lives and dies on its price and its trading volumes. BSV is a token that is directly linked to the utility of the BSV blockchain. N-chain's business is about developing applications that sit on the BSV blockchain and thus delivering utility to the chain. The price of the token, if the price of the token were to be extremely high, that would be detrimental to some of the business applications on the BSV blockchain. And I say business applications because that's one of the things that clearly distinguishes BSV from other blockchains.
But if the price were to be very high, that would be beneficial for your family trust holdings, which could be sold at a high price, right?
It would also be detrimental to the transactional price on BSV. My investment in BSV was no different to making an investment in stock, an equity that I would hold because I believed in the utility of the chain and its future, not because I'm a trader.
Next, please, L13/492, page 2.
Excuse me, is there any possibility of getting some water?
Of course.
Yes, certainly.
That we can
You're
arrange.
drying me out.
I've got some here.
You got some?
Yeah. That's a.
It's all
Doesn't
good?
look it, but that is a clean glass.
That's okay, fill it up.
What passes for a clean glass in these places?
It'll do. Fill me up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Now, this is Andrew O'Hagan's long article, The Satoshi Affair.
Yep.
I presume you've seen and read that.
I have indeed.
Page 12, please. Bottom paragraph. This is describing the plan that existed at the time of the big reveal effort. The plan was always clear to the men behind Encrypt. They would bring Wright to London and set up a research and development centre for him with around 30 staff working under him. They would complete the work on his inventions and patent applications. He appeared to have hundreds of them, and the whole lot would be sold as the work of Satoshi Nakamoto, who would be on mast as part of the project. Once packaged, Matthews and McGregor planned to sell the intellectual property for upwards of $1 billion. McGregor later told me he was speaking to Google and Uber, as well as to a number of Swiss banks. The plan was to package it all up and sell it. Matthews told me the plan was never to operate it. The quote that Mr. O'Hagan ascribes to you in that context, Mr. Matthews, did you say that to him?
That is about as accurate as Andrew reporting on the BBC and other interviews, quoting me as making statements in those interviews when I wasn't even in the building. I've been asked a number of times about O'Hagan's piece, and I'd say that 85% of it is relatively accurate. That is not true. McGregor did say that he was talking to Google and Uber. I don't remember him saying about Swiss banks, but I have no evidence that he ever spoke to anybody. Let me tell you about McGregor and O'Hagan. I didn't know that O'Hagan was engaged in any form until roughly the first week of January, when I came to London and was invited to a breakfast with Craig Wright, his wife, McGregor and O'Hagan. That was when I was first introduced to O'Hagan. What was the plan back in June 2015 was to engage somebody to write the history of the company, not to write a book on Satoshi Nakamoto. It was the history of the company. And the way that McGregor explained his thinking on that was that it's always easier to have somebody following the history of the company, collecting the information as it grows, and then obviously at some stage a book or material would be released. But it was not the intention to release a story about Satoshi Nakamoto. We knew that that would come at some stage in the future, but that wasn't the intention when O'Hagan was originally hired. With O'Hagan's hiring, McGregor, an IP lawyer in his own right, hired a guy, told me about it around December, January, told me that there was a non-disclosure agreement in place, and there was an agreement to write a book for £200,000 on the history of the company. Well, actually, when we got to the £200,000, McGregor had changed his story, because the Wired and Gizmodo outing had occurred, and McGregor completely changed his strategy for everything that was going on. So, going back to this, no, that was not the plan. That was not the plan when we engaged with Craig Wright in June 2015. That might well have been what was going through McGregor's head in January, February 2016, but it was not something that I was heavily involved with.
We can take that off screen now. Drawing these threads together, Mr. Matthews, it's right, isn't it? You anticipate benefit both to your company and to you personally if Dr. Wright's claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto is found to be correct, don't you?
No. I'm going to say it again. I spent a number of years of my life working very hard to grow and expand the N-Chain Group and to get it focused on developing solutions for government and large enterprise in the blockchain space. If I benefit from my shareholding through the family trust, or if I benefit from my work with N-Chain, it'll be because N-Chain has been successful in its own right, not because of Craig Wright.
Before we get into the detail of your evidence, I'd like to ask you about an exchange of messages you had with Kristen Hager Hansen in September 2023. Is it right that on the 25th of September 2023, you were the chairman of N-Chain and he was the CEO?
On the 25th, yes.
L20/183, please. Now, this is an image of a WhatsApp exchange, apparently between you and Mr. Hager Hansen, which he dated in a tweet to Monday, the 25th of September 2023. The images of the computer, the images of in the photographs are of a computer with Dr. Wright's browsing history, as Dr. Wright has accepted. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't know what those images are. I never read those images at the time. They were difficult to read on my phone. I really didn't care what they were.
Dr. Wright has also exhibited a and tweets these messages: biggest fake ever, I'm in shock, which may be shock. What a retarded idiot. Do you see that?
I see it, yes.
And your replies are, fuck, WTF is wrong with him, well, we have NCH to focus on, that's not fake.
Genuine. I haven't had it validated.
And you say that the background was that Mr. Ager Hansen had referred to the fact that Dr. Wright would need to provide an explanation about 2 new hard drives he'd supposedly discovered containing documents not previously disclosed. Is that right? We can go to your statement if it helps.
Sorry?
We can go to your statement if it helps.
I'm fine, yeah.
So did you agree with that proposition?
State that again, please.
The background, according to your statement, was that Mr. Ager Hansen had referred to the fact that Dr. Wright would need to provide an explanation about the 2 new hard drives he had supposedly discovered, right?
That's what I was told at the time, and that's what I believed.
Just looking at these messages, I'm first of all going to ask you about what you actually wrote before we get to your story for why you wrote it, okay? Mm-hmm. In your response, you didn't just acknowledge what Mr. Ager Hansen had said, did you?
What are you saying?
Well, you didn't just say, okay, you said that. You went further, didn't you?
Well, I said, fuck, what the fuck is wrong with you? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, your message wasn't just limited to acknowledging that you'd received those messages.
No, but my message was, let's get on with N-Chain.
Come to that in a second.
I'm not worried about Craig Wright and what may or may not be fake or not fake or asserted. Doesn't worry me at all. My focus, my problem is N-Chain.
You didn't just say that the 2 of you should focus on your work for N-Chain, did you? You didn't just say that.
I think I did.
Well, first of all, you expressed surprise at what he'd sent you. That's what the first expletive, fuck, means, isn't it?
You're taking this particular exchange completely out of context. Ager Hansen was and is a particular style of individual. I was fed up with his... what date was this?
25th of September 2023.
From the 22nd of September until I fired him, he was consistently harassing me, threatening me, and insisting that I withdraw as a witness in this matter, and making statements to me personally that he would destroy me if I didn't withdraw as a witness. He and Mr. Ali called me late at night, around midnight one day, and said, during this period, we are arriving in Switzerland tomorrow morning and we have documents for you to sign to withdraw as a witness. I said, no, I'm not available. Then come to London and sign. I was told no less than 20 to 25 times that Aga Hansen would stop at nothing to destroy me if I came to this courtroom.
Mr. Matthews, you may be keen to move away from the content of the message.
I'm not keen to move away from the content of the message, but you've got to take it in context.
But the plain meaning of that expletive, based on what, in the context of what he had written, was to express shock or surprise, wasn't it?
No. It was to tell him what he wanted to hear. And then say, let's get on with Enchain.
And the second message you wrote was, WTF is wrong with him. Yes?
Yes?
And him was Craig Wright, wasn't it?
Yes?
And again, the meaning was clear. You were agreeing that Craig Wright had done something stupid or wrong, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't agreeing to any such thing. I didn't care.
I appreciate you say that now, but the plain meaning of that message
Well, this is the
what the fuck is
impersonal
wrong
nature.
with Craig Wright?
This is the impersonal nature of messages. You can't determine what the emotion of the person is that's sending them at the time.
Well, let's just focus on the meaning, and you can tell me if the meaning is different. The plain meaning of those words is that something is wrong with Craig Wright. He's done something stupid or wrong, isn't it?
That's not what I meant. That was not the meaning.
What do you say is the other meaning of WTF is wrong with him?
Fuck, what the fuck is wrong with him? Forget about it, move on, let's go to Enchain. That was where my thinking was at the time.
That's not... You didn't write, forget him, ignore him, don't think about Craig Wright. You wrote, WTF is wrong with him, in response to these allegations that Mr. Aga Hansen was making, didn't you?
No, that's not true.
And the plain meaning of that was agreeing
You can
that he had done something wrong or
you can
stupid.
interpret it that way if you want, but I'm telling you that that's not what my intention was.
And then you write, well, we have NCH to focus on, that's not fake. And I think we can agree NCH is N-chain.
Yes?
And the words added, that's not fake, bear the clear implication that Dr. Wright was fake.
Everything that was coming out of Aga Hansen's mouth was fake.
This is not coming out of his mouth, Mr. Matthews. This is coming out of your mouth.
Our biggest fake ever came out of his mouth.
But you say that's not fake in relation to N-chain. And the clear implication is you're saying Dr. Wright is, aren't you?
No. Aga Hansen is saying Craig Wright is fake.
Adding those words, that's not fake, indicated agreement that he was a fake.
That was not my intention.
If we asked any objective observer who knew the background to read those messages and say what they meant, they would say you were agreeing that Dr. Wright was a fake, wouldn't they?
And that would be wrong.
E/27/8, please. So your explanation for this. Paragraph 30. You say that Mr. Aga Hansen was relentless. You wrote these messages in an attempt to pacify him. Yes?
Yes?
You say that you were fed up with Mr. Aga Hansen accusing Dr. Wright of being a fraud and that you didn't believe that Dr. Wright was a fraud.
Correct.
This message, as we've seen, did not just say, Kristen, forget all this nonsense, focus on N-chain, did it?
No, it didn't.
Your message indicated agreement with his view that Dr. Wright was a fake, despite you now saying you strongly disagreed with that view.
I was putting a position to Aga Hansen that would fit with his assertions so that we could move on.
So you say now that you were trying to indicate agreement with his view that Dr. Wright was a fake in order just to fob him off. Is that what you're saying?
No, I wasn't agreeing with his view.
You say that's not what your messages indicated.
No, that was not my intent. It was a message between he and I and nobody else. I wanted to move on.
This message, you can take the witness statement off screen. This exchange happened at a delicate time, didn't it, Mr. Matthews?
25th.
It was 3 days after the mock trial, wasn't it?
It was.
It was 2 days.
It was a delicate time because, as I explained earlier, I was being bombarded with threats around what was going to happen to me and my family and my reputation. I was going to be destroyed. Destroyed.
But it was.
And when someone is screaming destroyed at you and smashing their palm on the desk in front of you and their face is 12 inches away from yours, that's pretty threatening. And that was what I was subjected to over a period of 3 or 4 days.
This was 3 days after the mock trial in which Dr. Wright was thought to have performed badly, wasn't it?
In all fairness, Dr. Wright didn't get a chance to perform anything at that mock trial. It wasn't a mock trial, it was an ambush and a one-way interrogation of Craig to I think, force me as a witness to withdraw as a witness in this case.
And it took place, this threatening to cut off funding for Dr. Wright, didn't it?
I don't know.
Come to that later. Serious questions were being asked about Enchain's connection with the main investor.
What, Enchain's support for Dr. Wright?
Yes.
I'm not aware of that.
And in those circumstances, it would have been really unwise for someone in your position as chairman to be sending a completely false signal to Mr. Ager Hansen that you thought Dr. Wright was a fake when he really wasn't, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here.
Well, at this time, in this febrile environment, it would have been, I suggest, stupid for someone in your position to signal to Mr. Ager Hansen, the CEO, that Dr. Wright was a fake if you didn't think he was. Right?
I've never thought Dr. Wright was a fake.
Mr.
Never
Matthews,
indicated to anybody that Dr. Wright was a fake.
Mr. Matthews, as an experienced businessman in those circumstances, you would not have been so stupid as to indicate your agreement to Mr. Ager Hansen that Dr. Wright was a fake if you didn't agree, right?
I'm still not quite sure where we are on this.
Well, let's take this in stages.
Go slow.
Your message indicated agreement that Dr. Wright, unlike Enchain, was a fake. Yes?
No.
And if that's not a message you would have wanted to deliver to Mr. Ager Hansen at this time if it wasn't true, yes?
I'm still not piecing this together.
Mr. Matthews, you weren't telling Mr. Ager Hansen what those messages plainly meant in order to fob him off, were you?
I was.
You would not have described, you would not have written those messages, let's put it that way, unless you thought Dr. Wright was a fake.
No, that's not true.
Your excuse now, the excuse you put in your witness statement, the excuse you've been giving over the last minutes, is a lie, isn't it?
Absolutely not.
It was invented to avoid undermining Dr. Wright's case after that message was leaked.
I don't have to lie about anything. I experienced with my own eyes, my own ears and my own personal interaction with Craig Wright through several years in 2006, 7, 8 and 9. I know what my experiences were and nothing can change that.
L19432, please. another tweet from Mr. Age Hansen.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I think the wrong. Can we try L19342? May have been the wrong reference. No, we can take that off screen. L19240.3.1, which is C40's 3560.1. Now, this is a transcript of a discussion between you and Mr. Age Hansen, which Mr. Age Hansen released. Have you read this transcript?
I don't think I've ever seen this transcript, but still.
If we go to page 4, please.
Oh, I know what this is. This is a transcript of the recording that he allegedly took in Spain. And I can say pieces of this resonate with me. I don't know whether that recording is a legitimate recording in its entirety. I know that the man has a history of clipping things together. I'm concerned hasn't been verified.
Page 2, please. Next page. There is a quotation at time counter 0821, because we're heading into a fucking train wreck on the 15th of January. Did you say those words to Mr. Age Hansen as far as you're aware?
I may have. I don't have specific recollection, but I may have.
We can listen to the recording. It's at L19240.4. You can bring that up and start the tape counter at 8 minutes precisely.